But Cerrone, you never count him out. You just never know.
No, he's a warrior, so
he can win the fight wherever it goes.
Yeah, he always wins the fights he's not supposed to too. That's the other thing. So he loses the fights he shouldn't, like when he fought Diaz, but then he'll win the fights that he shouldn't. So
I don't think he's a good when the real pressure's on. But I don't think there's really any pressure here. I don't think anybody's really expecting, him to be Donald Cerrone of 3-4 years ago.
Right.
So but it is his return 155. That's going to be a real interesting story. I think
that's a big piece.
Obviously, other than the title fight and Greg Hardy making his UFC debut, I think that's the biggest story of this fight card. There's a reason that these two are fighting on ESPN.
Yes, it's going to be exciting. That's another good point, too, there is ESPN's looking for a reason for you to subscribe right then and there, and that's by getting you excited by watching this fight before the main card starts. That's why you always see that 20-30 minute gap between.
I really feel like Cerrone was probably the best value on DraftKings. We're at 7,600 for Donald Cerrone. He averages
that's not that much.
For a guy who fights as much as he does, 80 fantasy points per fight, and he doesn't win a lot of fights either. As of late, he lost I think 3 or 4 in a row.
Has he? Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, he went on a pretty bad losing streak there. So to still average 80 points per fight, I mean that shows that he can put some up any given night.
Not to mention too, he's one of the highest fight night bonus award winners in UFC history as well. So, he's certainly worth the value there, just because even if he doesn't win and he goes to decision, you're going to get some points off of him. So those are good picks. I like that. Why don't we talk about your favorites?
My number one favorite is Gregor Gillespie. Feel like of the guys I picked to win, he has the most well-rounded game to beat his opponent. And Yancey, tough dude, man. He's a fun guy to watch. We saw him fight Cowboy. I want to speak about Cowboy having some fun fights. He's always willing for a firefight, but Medeiros, not the greatest chin that he has. And Gillespie, man, he's a mauler.
And Medeiros is coming down to 155 too.
Oh, he's coming back down to 155. I guess I forgot that Gillespie was a lightweight.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, 2 bigger welterweights coming down. But the other thing about Gillespie, his fantasy points are off the charts.
Folks, we're talking 4 fights, 120 points per fight. That is unreal. He has 2 finishes in the first round and 2 finishes in the second round.
Just to put it in perspective, the way I'm looking through here at the rest of the lineup, I would guess off the top of my head looking at this that the average, if you take out Gillespie and Geoff Neal, who we'll mention here in a minute.
There was one more that I think that had a higher average than Gillespie, but I believe he only had 1 fight. Yeah, Sandhagen.
Yeah. Well, if you take those 3 out of it, though, the average is probably in the low 70s for the rest of the card. Most of these guys have 77, 95, 93, 62, 90,
We have
79.
one fighter under who's averaged 7.5 points per finish fight, so that's really going to hurt the average. That's really going to drop it down.
And you looked at that guy too, because he's a newer fighter. I haven't really checked him out. But what he only landed 8 shots in his last fight or something like that before he got finished.
Yeah, he didn't even do anything.
Yeah, so
he was essentially useless.
Not fair. But the next few guys, 73 points, 58, 59. So really, just to drive that point home, Gillespie with 120, considering this is what his 5th.
This is his 5th fight.
Yeah, 5th fight in the UFC. Yep. So that means he has 4 behind him, not like Sandhagen, who's I think
good wins, quality wins too.
Absolutely. So, just looking at those fantasy points, and what do you think? How is he getting those fantasy points?
Gillespie? All over the place. He's really well rounded. He can take guys down. I believe I was reading, he has one of the fastest advancing positions of most ground fighters in the UFC. He gets guys to the ground. He's going for mount. He's going for side control. He's looking for something.
Right.
He's looking to finish you right off the bat. He's not trying to play around. He's not Khabib. He's not going to wear you down. He's not going to take his time, pick his shots. He's coming to maul you.
Yeah. So Big point spread there for him. Definitely, like, he's a must-have. Just on the betting side, just with his.
I would think so.
Fantasy
I look at
points.
the fight. I don't see much Medeiros has to offer.
No, so
Against Gillespie.
Medeiros is always game. He's an
He is
entertaining
game.
guy, and he can turn this into a war. Which, to the point of DraftKings, like, that would make it even better. So who's your next guy? Who's your next favorite on this card?
My next favorite, I would probably have to say Greg Hardy. Honestly, don't know a dang thing about his opponent. I don't think anybody
does.
There's a reason for that, because he has one purpose, and his purpose is to get knocked out by Greg Hardy on ESPN. That is his one purpose in this life and in his career.
That is 100% correct. I'm looking at the Vegas odds for this fight.
Greg Hardy has as high of a odds of winning as Gillespie.
Here we go. So as of Wednesday, I haven't got the update for today. Hardy is a minus 550 to Crowder's plus 375. Yowzas.
And I think when we looked at Crowder, was Crowder the grappler that we looked at? Or was that somebody? I think maybe that's somebody else.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't think that
Okay,
was
so maybe
him.
it wasn't. Yeah, maybe we didn't look. So, like we said, we don't know anything about Crowder other than his one purpose is to get knocked out.
He was signed for this one fight.
He was signed to go to sleep.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be paid handsomely, and God bless you, sir.
Yeah, I know.
Because you are sent for sacrifice.
Sacrificial lamb of the UFC. No, that is 100% correct.
I mean, it'd be impossible to me to imagine that they'd let Greg Hardy fight somebody that could beat him in his first fight.
Oh, because they need heavyweights.
Not just they need heavyweight, they need marketable heavyweights.
That's very true.
He's
too.
controversial. Bingo. He's got a name. There you go.
He's an ex-NFL star. Yeah.
And he can knock people dead with one punch.
Yeah.
He's got everything to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, because of his past, we'll see where he goes from here.
Fantastic
But
points.
I fully expect him to knock this guy out.
Fantastic points, Sean. I love it. So those are Sean's two underdog picks and his two favorites. I'm going to run through your lineup real quick. So if we look at Sean's lineup, his first pick is Henry Cejudo over Dillashaw. And remember, this is just DraftKings, so this isn't necessarily who he thinks is going to win. He's just looking for points here and who you can get the value out of, because you can't pick not everybody you pick is going to be the favorite. That's why they have the salary cap on there, so you're not going to be able to get that. But
Otherwise, everybody would pick all the favorites. And
so actually, you made some good points on why you picked Cejudo over Dillashaw. You want to jump on that real quick?
Well, you look back to why I picked Ortiz, right, to get points and be in a long decision. Well, Cejudo, I picked him for the same thing. Dillashaw does have finish ability. I question his ability with the power at 125. He looks pretty sucked in. We'll talk about that later in the next podcast. But Cejudo, 25 minutes. He's got an extra 10 minutes of fight time, extra 10 minutes to land takedowns, land strikes, gain more points. Simple as that.
Good point.
Great value, 7,300. I mean, we still had 500 left over from our remaining salary, so I thought it was the best pick for what we had left.
Yeah. No,
by far. I mean, once you get down to that area, it's a lot of no names and people who are supposed to lose, like Crowder. It's a lot of those. So Cejudo's not necessarily supposed to lose. He's supposed to be competitive in this fight. I expect him to be competitive.
And, I mean, that would be huge, too, because he's the underdog for him to win in this one as well. So
I can't imagine a lot of people picking Cejudo. Maybe a lot of people do. Maybe a lot of people are thinking kind of the same thing I am. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I see a lot of interesting picks when I play DraftKings with other people. So
yeah. Hey, that's a good point, too. So I love that point that you made, though. He's not historically a very high point fighter when it comes to fantasy
not
points.
great output, other than takedowns,
Yeah.
He doesn't really push pace. He hasn't finished a lot of fights. But like we said, he doesn't really get finished, and he's always competitive. So,
So some great points. I think that's a great opportunity right there. Second pick is Greg Hardy, as Sean mentioned, and then Gillespie, which we talked about. Fourth pick was Ortiz. We talked about that one. The next pick was Cerrone, and then the last pick was Neal.
Yep, Jeff Neal over Bilal Muhammad. Jeff Neal is big-time prospect. A lot of knockout power, also, averaging 108 fantasy points per fight. He's only got 2 fights, but he's got 2 finishes. So he's got quality wins over two Beneil Dariush, who's been ranked in the lightweight, knocked him out in the first round. So that's legit.
Yeah,
in your first UFC fight, that's legit.
Yeah, Beneil's awesome.
And Bilal's always game to fight. He's really well rounded, but again, this is a fight Neil should win.
Cool. So great I think that was just a great lineup. Again, that is with I think some decent money left over. So you start with that $50,000 salary cap.
You're averaging about 800 or 8,300. For this card.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of opportunity on this card to get some really good picks.
The interesting thing about this card, when I'm looking at it, it's a lot of new fighters, a lot of debuts. And that's something that we don't do with DraftKings, because we don't really do it for the small fight night cards. But since it's ESPN, we had to do it.
Yeah.
There are some really good picks on here. But again, this goes back to our point of look into some of these younger people, because these are the names of tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And
maybe Crowder is the name of tomorrow.
Could you imagine? Oh God, we'll have to talk. We'll get into that. We'll get into that in our other podcast. But man, can you imagine? No, I think that those are some great points. I like that. I think we're gonna roll with that. Sean has a long history with DraftKings in a positive way, so. He's made some money on there.
I think we wanted, we talked kind of about our what we like to look for in DraftKings, but some of the things that we talked about that we didn't like, looking some of these fighters in value. We look at Joseph Benavidez. He's smack dab right between Dillashaw and Alonzo Menifield, two guys who are, Menifield hasn't fought officially in the UFC, but if you've watched him on Contender Series, dude is yoked.
God, he is a monster.
He looks like Yoel Romero at 205.
Yes, he does.
And he hits like him.
Yes, he does.
He's not as athletic, I'll say that. But anyway, moving on. Dillashaw is a great fighter. He can finish fights. Very talented. Definitely one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And to have Benavidez sandwiched between those two, I know he's a big favorite.
I just don't see that, though.
I understand. They're more DraftKings does it for the favorites, but if you're looking for points, he's not there. He's just, good output guy. Not going to finish fights though. Not really a finisher.
Yeah, he's a decent favorite over Ortiz.
This is a guy he has already beaten. We should mention that. They did fight before.
He didn't finish him though, right? I don't remember. I don't, because I didn't see this one. I've watched Benavidez plenty of times, but I didn't see this one. But he's a decent favor. He's a minus 235 to Ortiz's plus 185, so it's not really that big a difference. He just doesn't. I don't know if he has the output though to be up there with some of these guys. That's what I'm saying. Decent output, but I don't know if he's worth $9,000 to your point.
For the amount that you're paying, you need somebody that can finish the fight or get you a lot of points.
Yeah.
Somebody with an output like Max Holloway, and somebody that we mentioned before, somebody that's gonna just land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they don't finish, they're landing a lot of shots. And I just don't see that from Benavidez.
No.
And, I don't want to be that guy, but I don't like to invest a lot of money into the women fights because most of them are decision fights. And, a lot of them don't have tons of output. Unlike, I would invest money in Joanna, somebody like that, or Amanda, because Amanda will finish fights. Joanna will land a lot of punches and strikes. But for the most part, I just don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this. It's just they don't land a lot of strikes. They do land some takedowns, but they're usually just not great for points.
Yeah. Because you don't see, I don't want to say too many, but you don't see as many finishes right now. So
especially knockouts. Right. Knockouts are the big points.
Right. So that's a great point. So anything else you see in here that you would tell anybody? I think that you covered pretty much every aspect of that piece.
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome. All right. Well, so again, I think most of the time we're going to do the 50-50s. We're going to focus on perhaps multipliers. Those are always good ones to jump on. I think that's pretty much everything that we're covering. Again, this is just our first episode of DraftKings, so thank you for joining us. If there's anything we're missing, anything you'd like us to cover in the future going forward,
please let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Tweet at us.
We got 4. We have 4 events next month.
Oh boy, we're gonna be busy.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy, and that's a good thing. We love it.
Yes. So we love this stuff.
Plenty of DraftKings coming up next month. So anything that you want to see added to DraftKings, whether you want us to dive a little bit more into the different tournament contest types, or if you want to hear a little bit more about the dark horses and strategy and things of that nature, let us know on our Facebook page at The Casuals MMA.
And vote on our Twitter poll.
Yes.
Please.
We'll
let
do
us
it on
know.
Twitter and on Facebook about.
Let us know.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
I'm sure there's some of you out there, you want to try to take our money. We want your money. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Our own contest. Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Remember, check out our other podcast previewing this weekend's UFC event, and deuces.